Good morning, everybody. We have a decent group with us today, and I will keep a watch on the waiting room as more people will be joining us. We can go ahead and get started this morning. We have Jake Law. He is the multimedia specialist at Prime Design Solutions with us. And I am Lauren Thompson. I'm the technical assistance lead at Jari. Jake is going to be talking about using video in marketing, which seems to be all over social media nowadays. So he should have some awesome tips for everybody to use in your own business so that you can use it also in your marketing. So we want this session to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, either type them in the chat and we'll answer them throughout, or if you want to get on and unmute yourself, you can ask questions too, and Jake will answer them the best that we can. And then also if you want to save them to the end, you can do that too. We'll have question time at the end. So at this time, I will flip it over to Jake.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Jake from Prime Design Solutions and Innovative Tomato, and I'm the main photo and video person there. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now. So my goal is to just kind of either share what makes video such a good option right now and kind of convince you, if you're not already convinced, go over some video trends, give you an idea of what you would be doing if you decide to do some video. Then we're going to dive into what exactly makes a video effective, and then some production tips to help you along the way. So that's really the four main areas I'm going to be covering. And the bulk of that is going to be in the video trends and what makes an effective video, because those are kind of the two areas where if you're planning on doing a video, I kind of break everything down for what you need to do and the best way to go about doing that. So just real quick, why video? There's a couple of reasons. First, the biggest one, it's what consumers are watching. So almost 250 million people watch digital videos in the US. And while it does skew younger, it does also cover over 65% of people 65 and up. So really, you can target any audience with video, and it's good option for almost everyone. And online digital content has twice the audience of TV. And that just shows, even though TV is technically a video platform, the online digital content is what we're really stressing here. And that's just making videos and posting them online to social media, your website, YouTube, for people to watch there rather than on a commercial, like a traditional commercial. You'll see all the videos I talk about today are pretty much drastically different than a typical commercial. And that's kind of a good thing, because all these are more storytelling than like selling an ad. And this is just kind of puts it into perspective of why video works so well. Each week, people watch on average 18 hours of video. So that adds up to just shy of 1,000 hours per year and about 39 consecutive days of watching video on average. So right now, if you want to end up in front of someone, your best bet is to use video. Another reason why video is so great right now is it's what consumers want. So HubSpot did a survey on videos, and over half of consumers said that they want to see more video content from brands that they support. And this is such a big thing, because rarely do people say, I want more branding, advertising, marketing in front of me. But here with videos, it kind of changes the way people look at it. And sometimes people are excited to watch videos. And this is just in higher demand because people are more likely to pay attention to videos. It's easier. You don't really have to think. Everything's just shown to you, said to you. You don't have to flip a page. You don't have to read words. It all just happens. And that just captures people's attention better than traditional marketing. And videos help customers understand products and services. Now, how it will help them much better than traditional print marketing. Like I said earlier, people don't want to really read or do the research themselves. And when it appears in a video, they're more likely to pay attention to it and get sucked into it. And probably the biggest reason why you should do video marketing is it's what all competitors are doing. So right now, 93% of marketers say that video marketing is critical to their strategy. And of that, 86% of businesses are using video as a marketing tool. So really, the biggest point here is that if you're not doing video, most likely your competitors are, and that's what people want to see. So if you're not doing video, you're kind of getting left behind, and you need to start doing what everyone else is doing to stay with the trends and hopefully surpass them if your videos follow the structures that I'll talk about later. And 84% of customers have been convinced to buy a product or service after watching a brand's video. And again, that just goes back to people are better able to visualize what your products and services have to offer. If you have a good, concise video that has good visuals, the content is short and sweet, and they can just kind of get a glimpse of what's going on compared to photos, text, and print media. And with that, I just wanted to show this chart real quick that just kind of summarizes it well. As you can see, videos are the preferred content that people want to see. So if that's what consumers are preferring, that's pretty much what everyone should be doing, because they're going to have the best receptiveness to that type of content. And as you go down, the more wordy that this content gets, the less people prefer it. So videos are kind of what is being sought after right now. All right, so diving into the big part of this presentation, the video trends. These are what people are doing right now, what's working, and if you're considering doing some videos, this is probably what you should be doing. So I'm going to break it up into 4 big trends: homepage videos, testimonials, demonstrations and how-tos, and then just general overview videos. Overview videos cover a lot. It could be anywhere from company services, like that's meant for a customer, accomplishments that could go in front of like a board, or if you're having a company meeting where you need to show what you've done in the last year, or just event videos like an advertisement for an upcoming event, or like a recap video, like a thank you if you had an event with a bunch of sponsors as a way to thank them. So there's a couple different ways you can go about overview videos. But starting with homepage videos, these are becoming a lot more common, and similar to custom photography, homepage videos just show more effort in your branding, and it shows an effort in staying current, because more people are doing that. Whenever you have a good homepage video, people go to your website, it just kind of looks a lot nicer. And that's one of the big trends right now that we're seeing, people coming to us and saying that they want homepage videos put on their website. It kind of gives a quick look at how the company operates, but the biggest thing is there's no sound. So there's really no selling, there's no narration. There's not a whole lot of information. It just kind of subliminally gives you a look at what people are doing at that company. And the biggest thing with homepage videos is they're artistic. So we want them to be aesthetically pleasing. And if they are aesthetically pleasing and people stay on that page, just kind of watch where the video is going, that really helps with SEO rankings for Google, because they have more time spent on your page. And that's one of the things Google looks at with search engine ranking, and homepage videos really help with that. So just looking at the composition of how these videos are put together, you want artistic footage that looks good, but you also want it to be of what you're doing. So even if it would be as something as simple for a landscaping company as, putting a shovel in dirt, there are ways to kind of frame that shot and angle it so that would look interesting. And you really just want to find ways to artistically show what you're doing in your company. And you want to use specific and identifiable footage. So if you have specialized equipment that maybe your competitors might not have, you really want to show that. That's definitely a big plus to have on a homepage video. A building or an office shot with a drone, just kind of showing the whole area that you work at, is also nice. Gives people an idea of where you're from, or if it's local to their area, they get a connection to seeing that. And another one would be to show employees, and you have to be careful to stay evergreen here. You don't really want to show faces, just in case someone leaves the company or something happens. You'd have to redo your whole homepage video, but employees like hands walking me behind, you can't identify the person, are also good to have on a homepage video, because people like to see people, and they also like to have movement in the shots to keep them interesting. When you're putting these together, you want them to be anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds long. You really don't want to use a whole bunch of clips, mainly for file size. That's the biggest reason. The videos are obviously a pretty data heavy file. So if you have anything longer than usually about 30 seconds, then it starts to get into a really big file size, and it really affects how fast the page can load. Like I said, these videos should have no narration or music. You want them to be completely silent, have even no audio in the file. When I export these videos for web, I actually completely remove the audio files, so they don't even need to be muted. It's just the frames playing on the website and no audio, because one, it's obnoxious when you go to a website and a video just starts playing, especially if you have a couple tabs open and you got to like search through the tabs and figure out where it's coming from. And I believe the autoplay with video, if you have audio playing, I believe that also affects SEO, because people don't like that. So I think Google also knocks that down. If you have auto playing videos, it's kind of annoying. And like I said, with the 15 to 30-second videos, since you want the file size to be low, one trick, and this is a little bit more advanced, but if you are exporting a video, you often have the option to change the bit rate. And the bit rate is basically how much information is in the video. And normally you want videos to be as high quality as possible so they look great on screens. But with homepage videos, the way that they're integrated to the site, you can usually get away with using a lower bit rate that makes the file size much smaller. I've been able to take videos down 1/6 of their original size while keeping the same quality basically for a website. And this really helps with, again, SEO. The page loads much faster, and it's just good to have a quicker loading website. So when people click on it, everything's appearing and they're not waiting, because this is an age where people's attention span is getting tested. So if you go to a website with a homepage video, but it takes a while to load and people aren't seeing anything and they're just seeing a blank screen, they could very well jump back. I know I'm guilty of that, and I know other people are. It may not be an issue for everyone, but it certainly is something that happens where if a page doesn't load, people would just skip it and bounce back. And it's important to disable video on mobile. And this is typically meant for if you have a homepage video that's intended to be on seen on a laptop or desktop. You don't want that video on mobile, mainly because the aspect ratio is going to make the video so small. It's really not going to be visually pleasing or work. And another reason is loading speeds. People are on their phone, there's a chance they're using their data connection instead of Wi-Fi. And you really don't want them to have to load videos just to get on a website as well. It's not a huge deal with unlimited internet and things like that these days, but it is certainly an issue with the small screen size. If you do want to have a homepage video on mobile, it's best to make it and curate it for a mobile screen size, and then have a separate one for a desktop, one for mobile. And this is something that is possible. I know we do this through WordPress, that desktop and mobile views experience different types of content just so that it works better on their screen. So that's a big thing to pay attention to with homepage videos. So for a really good example of a homepage video, Molecular DX is a forensic toxicology lab in Wimber, and they revamped their site, but they also wanted to revamp their homepage and showcase what they do at a glance. So this is the video they ended up with. This is one I shot, and we went in and we had them just operate as they normally would. We had them, because we obviously don't know anything about forensics at all. I have no idea what is even a good shot, what makes sense. So we just have someone follow us around, work in the lab, kind of explain what they're doing and the different steps, and we just kind of follow them in order. So once you get to the page, it starts with what they started with, and it progresses to them working through this whole process in their lab. So we put that together, and they loved it because they said it shows exactly what they do. It's aesthetically pleasing. You have like some of these close shots with the sliders. You have the person's hand going in, pulling out all these vials, pouring in water. And it's just kind of nice to have that in the background, even if you're not intending to come here and watch that, it'll still kind of catch your eye in the background. And we put this little blue overlay on it as well, just to match their blue theme. And it's kind of subtle, but it's things like that to just kind of make a homepage video stand out compared to if this was just, you know, regular YouTube video plastered on their homepage. All right, so the next videos that we're going to be looking at are testimonial videos, and these have always been popular, I would say, especially in commercials, but the way that they're being put together is kind of changing. So the benefits of these are honestly incredible. Again, people like seeing people. So when you have someone talking about product or service, it just adds a layer of credibility to it. And depending on what you're actually doing a testimonial on, you might need multiple people. That would make sense if you have a wide range of products, services, or different perspectives that these people could have. But for the most part, you can just get away with one person on the testimonial video, and shorter would be better. You obviously don't want people talking and droning on and on for very long, but you need it to be as long as it can be to get all of the important parts in. Testimonials grab attention much better than written reviews. Again, like I said earlier, people do not want to read online. They would much prefer to have things shown to them and said to them. So that's another reason why testimonials are a great way to get reviews out there. And people just like seeing other people, especially with faces. Those catch attention. We're wired to like faces, be drawn to faces. So that's another added benefit of a testimonial compared to a written review where you don't see a person, you just see their words and maybe at best their name on the screen. Now, this is where things are changing compared to the typical, I would say, TV commercial testimonial. Kind of want this to be more conversational and more artistic is what we're finding. So multiple angles of the speaker are always good instead of just like one head-on shot. We've been doing two for a long time and just recently started doing a third angle just to kind of get some variation, change things up from what we're showing people, kind of keep it interesting visually. And this is probably the most important part of doing testimonial interview videos is do not follow a strict, rigid script. And a script can help, and it's certainly good to make one beforehand if you want to make sure you know what you're going to be talking about, if you cover all your points, but you really don't want to go in there and go line for line, very strict and rigidly going over your points. What we found is best is to record a 10 to 15 minute conversation. But I mean, we've also had interviews where the person is just like saying everything we need, and we have the interview in less than 5 minutes for the video. But the reason I say 10 to 15 minutes is most people don't have PR training and interview training. So the best way to do this is just to have a 10 to 15 minute conversation and pick the best clips from there. And this helps a lot because we like to go in and tell people that they're usually nervous, and to try to calm them down, we let them know that, hey, we're going to edit everything. We're going to pick the best clips from here. You're allowed to have mistakes. You're allowed to have redos. We just want to have a conversation because the cameras tend to make people nervous, especially if you're getting testimonials. You're not going to have actors. You're not going to have people that are used to being in front of a camera and talking. So that can kind of add some pressure. And the best way to deal with that we found is just try to make it as conversational as possible, get people to forget about the cameras and just record 10 to 15 minutes and then pick the best clips from there, maybe less than 2 minutes, less than a minute. And then just, it'd be nice to add in some relevant B-roll while they're talking. So it's not just a person's face, like I know we often do. If it's someone who works in an office, like B-roll of typing on a keyboard, filing papers always works to kind of splash in over the interview. Again, just to do the same thing as multiple angles, change up the view, keep it interesting. The composition of testimonial videos, it can vary. And obviously these numbers aren't super strict. Like I would say the homepage video, keep it between 15 and 30 seconds is pretty strict there. But with these, it can really vary. For a single person, it can be anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, depending on the topic, depending on what they need to talk about. For multiple people, I would say about 30 to 90 seconds for each person. The shorter is better. Again, you don't want your videos to be too long because then people aren't going to watch them the whole way through. But you want them to obviously be long enough to fit in all the relevant information. So this is why you would want to have a conversation, a longer conversation, and then like mentally note where they said the best parts and then go pull those out and throw those in rather than trying to, record a perfect 2-minute clip, throw that in where, maybe the start and the end is a little bit weaker, but the middle was great. Just pull in the middle, find ways to segue into that and transfer to the next one. And that's about the best way we found to do these interview videos. And you don't want to use anyone's voice other than the speaker, the interviewee. You typically want to just use that over the B-roll as well. You can have like an explanatory introduction or conclusion, but in the middle of the video, it's best to just keep it with the person that's speaking. It just kind of ties everything together and keeps everything on topic instead of changing it up. And hopefully that keeps people focused and like in the flow of the video, and they'll watch it to the end. Good example of a testimonial video is a recent one we did for Greater Altoona Career and Technology Center, a vocational school around here. They just wanted to showcase their programs because they have so many of them, and they wanted to try and help students find what programs work best for them. So what we did was we went there and we interviewed a student, and we just had her talk about the program. She was super enthusiastic. That always helps when you can find someone who's genuinely happy about what they're talking about, which is usually what you want, because if someone's going to do a testimonial on something, they should genuinely enjoy what they're talking about, because you'll see that on their face and hear it in their voice when they're giving the testimony. So you can see we put in some B-roll footage of them working. We tried to find a nice background in the school with like the books in their actual environment where she's going to be having the class. And we just kind of have a conversation with her, get a couple different angles, get some B-roll, and that's all the parts you need for the testimonial video. And you can see this is just shy of 3 minutes. So it stays in between the 1 and 3 minutes that a testimonial video should be if it's just one person. So demonstration videos are the next big one. These are super helpful for frequently asked questions, or if you have a product that may be a little complicated, or even a service that may not be so clear. These are good to prepare customers for the first experience with your product or service. If they're excited and they want to learn more about something before they even get to, if they order something and get that product in the mail, or if it's a service and they don't know what to expect, a demonstration video can kind of help them set their expectations, get more excited, and continue to interact with you. And a big thing with demonstration videos is if you have something people are frequently emailing you about and need explanations on, not only is the video the best way to show them how to do something, because you're physically showing them what is going on, what the process is, that will also greatly help your search engine optimization. As mentioned earlier, if these videos are useful, people are searching for this and this is coming up and they're watching it, Google sees that and Google says, hey, people like this content, we're going to push this up higher. So people see this because they're searching for it and this is what they're going to, and this is what they're watching. And that is, that's the case with everything, but especially with demonstration videos. The biggest part with that is people are more likely to watch the whole thing. And if they're searching for it and it's specific and coming up, they're more likely to stay there than if they would, say a testimonial video might not be what they were exactly looking for. But if they're looking for how to do blank and they see a video on how to do blank, then that's exactly what they needed. And that'll help with SEO. The composition of these videos, this is probably the one that varies the most. You do want a strict, rigid script for this, unlike testimonials. So it's not really a conversation, it's how to steps. You want to use that script for narration and captions. So it's easier if you already have it written out, because then you know what you need to film, you know what you need to say. That's all right there. You cannot miss anything. It's good to review your script with multiple people to make sure it's clearly understood by a wider range of people, especially if you're doing something that could be industry specific. This was something I ran into when doing a how-to installation video for Miria Horn Company, because I found myself using terms that maybe people who work with electronics and cars would know, but if it's just someone who wants to upgrade their car horn who isn't really into any of those things, they may be a little bit confused. So we reviewed it with other people and kind of tweaked the wording to make it more acceptable for everyone. And demonstration videos really don't have a length requirement or cap, I would say, because it really varies due to the complexity of what you're trying to show. But the important step is don't show more footage than is needed. So you want to really avoid repeating steps. Like if you're, if you have to put in 4 screws, you don't want to just have the video being you in real time, taking and putting in all 4 screws. You can either speed it up, or you can do the one and then cut to the next step and make it clear that you do that same thing for all 4. So doing things like that will really shorten your video and make it easier to watch. But again, it could be longer depending on the complexity, the amount of steps, the amount of explanation needed. So demonstration videos are kind of the thing. And going back to demonstration video example, again with Miria, who developed a smart horn that adjusts volume based on speed. So this is kind of a new product that may be hard for people to understand because they're used to the standard horn that does the same thing all the time. Miria wanted to explain the simplicity of using our horn and how it functions in different scenarios. And this is a really good example because they don't even have any real filming. They have this stock footage that they paid for that they like to use. So we use that in the front of the video. But the bulk of the video is just animations. We didn't actually do any filming with cars because the video pretty much revolves around the premise of unsafe driving conditions and needing to use your horn. So that's kind of not really viable to film in real life. So what we did is we just set the script, we figured out what all the scenarios were going to be. And then we had our animator make this whole video, and we recorded the voiceover explaining what was going on, put in all the animations, and that was the whole demonstration video. So the last one, this is the most general, but probably the most popular type of video that we're seeing people want to do, and that's just an overview video. And that is kind of just like an umbrella term for like any other type of video, but overview videos typically highlight something strong and unique about your business. So it's really showing what you can do better or unique, or what your unique quality is compared to other people. And this is, again, like everything else, kind of more storytelling, and you want to draw people in, make them think about your skills and accomplishments. And overview videos can be for anyone. That can be for customers, whether it's a product video. A popular one we're seeing is for future employees, hiring campaigns, employee testimonials, saying about how great it is to work there, really explaining what it is like to work there, to try and get more like-minded people and kind of bring the people in who would love to work there. And another type of overview video, which I have an example to show this, is a stakeholder and board member video. We did a video with a company who needed to showcase at a big company meeting everything they had accomplished in the past year. And a video was a great way to do that. Instead of just going up and talking in front of the company with, presentation and numbers, they had visuals. And I mean, they still got their information in there. They had, words on the video overlaid in a narration that explained everything. The video just really tied everything together and made it a very exciting thing to watch at a company meeting, where really they're just explaining, what they had done in the last year, kind of took it to the next level. with their effort on how they want to display that. So the composition of these videos, you really want to, obviously you want to say all the great things you can do, but you really want to focus it to one thing. And it doesn't need to just be like one example. You know, if your company is great at helping other people, you don't just have to like focus on one way you help people. You can focus on multiple ways, but you really want it to revolve around the fact that your company is great at helping people. So you really want to look at problem do you solve, solutions do you provide, or in the case of the company, like I just said with the company meeting, what is being achieved in the last year. And you want to revolve around one topic in an overview video so it doesn't get too complicated and branch out and kind of, you know, go on a tangent. So it all stays focused. And again, so people just stay hooked on the video and hopefully finish it, because getting people to finish watching videos is a big thing. If you ever look at video analytics, people often watch the first half and get to the middle, and then it usually drops off near the end. And overview videos, again, trying to keep it watchable and short. Try to explain everything in 2 to 3 minutes. Don't want to cut out important information, obviously, just for the sake of making it 2 minutes. But you want to try and keep everything as short and effective as possible and smoothly transitioning into everything without much, you know, lollygagging. So 2 good examples of this is a shorter one and a longer one. Humane Society of Cambria County wanted to do video for an upcoming event, fundraiser, and Curry Fluid Power was the company that wanted to showcase their growth and accomplishments. So this was just a 30-second ad, 25-second ad, where they were going to be at the 5th local bar and restaurant in Richland, and they brought their dogs in. We got a bunch of different shots of the pets all in the bar, which was pretty engaging. We found people liked the video because, you know, not often do you see a dog sitting in a bar. And this was just kind of like a cool little advertising piece to show how people become support the Humane Society and, you know, see some pets at a place where they normally wouldn't. So that was kind of like a fun little overview video for an upcoming event. And then with Curry Fluid Power, this was like a more serious tone, more informational, but we still try to make it interesting, showing their plant, showing, you know, all the new signage they got, everything they had just like spent money on upgrading that year. We wanted to show that, their branding, their piece of new equipment they wanted to highlight. So basically what we did is we just took one of the main people that work there. We had them show us around. So we captured everything that actually goes on, because obviously we have no idea, again, what's going on. But these people do, and they know what the process is like, and they know what makes sense to their company and their stakeholders. So they just had us show all the ways they've grown, all the great things they're doing, all the great things their employees are doing and how hard they work. And that was the whole video. It was a lot of getting artistic footage. And then behind this, I have all these muted because, you know, it's easier to just like talk over and explain it. But under all these videos, especially this one, is just a narration that goes in depth with what's going on. You can see right now they're talking about exciting new products. So they're talking about all the things they were able to start manufacturing and tie into their company. And that was just a really good overview video, not intended for customers or, you know, new employers, but just to show what they had accomplished in the last year. So it's a different way of looking at an overview video. It's not necessarily marketing your company to customers, but rather, you know, your company, and kind of show your worth in the company. All right, so this last part is pretty important. So you have all those pieces from the different types of videos and how they're put together, but what makes an effective video? It's not a whole lot of stuff to pay attention to. Obviously, when you dive in to start making videos, you'll see that like maybe there's some things like you weren't expecting. Some requirements may change. Like if you're trying to do a video for an ad, you obviously have to follow those guidelines. But generally, try to pay attention to 3 key elements: length, format, and content. And then once you pay attention to those, put your video together, all you have to do is plan out your distribution, which really is not that difficult. And if you just kind of look at the way your company operates, it's usually pretty easy to figure out where you need to put that. So these are the top 3 key elements of effective video. Length, which is contingent on the type of video you're producing. Like I said, homepage videos, typically 30 seconds. A how-to guide could be 5 minutes, or just a simple overview video or testimonial could be 2 to 3 minutes. So once you know the length your video needs to be, then you can start looking at content and figure out what you have time to say in the video and trying to figure out what you're going to put in, what you're going to cut out, what makes the most sense to put in this short amount of time that you have. And then finally, format. Where do you plan on sharing the video? That would be things like, the orientation of the video. If it's intended to be seen on a phone, you want it to be in portrait. If it's just going to be on, TVs, computers, landscape. If it's going to be on a website, again, you don't want to have audio, but if you're going to have it shown on like a big screen somewhere, then you're going to want to have, that higher bit rate for the higher quality. You're going to want at least 1080p video, so it's high quality, things of that nature. Those are like the 3 things you need to pay attention to. Length, like I said, shorter is better as long as it's efficient. Really try to stress that, because you don't want videos to have any empty filler, because if there's spaces for you to cut out in the video, then that's opportunities for people to get bored and stop watching. So it's really hard to try and make a video that is super engaging and interesting every single second, but it is easier the shorter the video is. Again, don't cut out information that's important just for the sake of brevity, but you still want it to try and be as short as possible. And something we found is if the video is too long, consider if it needs to be 2 separate videos. Sometimes you'll find, and you'll go at a video thinking one way, but then as you start to fill out the video, film, write the script, you'll see that you're kind of talking about 2 things that could be stronger separate on their own, rather than trying to make one video where you're jamming that together. Content. This is the most important part of the video, is the actual footage and filming. So one tip, the most important tip probably with this, is just overshoot the footage. Every single video that we shoot, we get more than we need. And this is always good to have a backup of clips if you later find out that one does not work for whatever reason. Something always happens where, a clip you're intending to use doesn't really fit, you have to use a different one. So it's just good to have a big bank of footage to pull from. And this is also good if you're planning on making multiple videos. You will already have a bank of footage to pull from, and you already have stuff. You won't need to keep getting more as you go. But with every single opportunity to film, you should just take advantage of that and try and get as much reasonably good footage as you can. And just try and stay on topic, support your script by filming relevant items. That's not always possible. Sometimes you need to get something that you cannot film. So in that case, stock footage is acceptable, but you really want to use that sparingly and avoid it if at all possible, because custom footage is always better, because it shows your exact, company, business, your services, your products. But there are cases where you need to do it, and it's good to have it if you really need to show something, and just kind of thread it in between the custom footage and try and find something that fits, your general style of how you're filming. Because obviously if something's drastically different, then it really sticks out as being stock footage, and it can be kind of confusing, draw people off. So yeah, shoot as much as you can. And if you really need to use stock footage, certainly okay. But the best piece of advice I can give is to overshoot your own footage, so you have as much as you possibly can for that video and other videos. And then putting the video together, you really don't want to over edit. Use transitions, filters, effects, minimally. You really don't need a whole lot of stuff on a video. And, if we're doing videos for Greater Altoona Career and Technology Center, that's a younger audience. They can have more transitions and animations and be flashier, but typically videos don't need all that. Less is kind of more. If you saw on that homepage video, there were really either hard cuts or just like a soft fade transition on the Molecular DX homepage video. You don't need a whole lot. The footage should usually just speak for itself. And this is another big one. This is kind of new, but this is really growing in popularity. If the video is going on social media, you should really consider using captions. That's because many videos now on social media autoplay. And since they autoplay, they're usually muted if you just have that set. Usually once you unmute them, then they start to play unmuted. But typically when you go on, you start watching stuff, things are muted, and captions can kind of get you in and sucked into the video and watching. Compared to if there were no captions, you can just scroll past the video because you have no real reason to jump in and watch that. I really don't like AI captions. Obviously, you might not be able to do that for everything, particularly if you have a really long video. It could be hard to go in and type your own captions for everything, but they're getting better, but there's still mistakes. And maybe if you slur a word or you get a little quieter, you could hear the wrong thing and just put the wrong word on the screen. So it's certainly better than nothing, and they're actually getting pretty good with the AI captions. But especially if you already have a script for your videos, it's good to just use that script and make the video stand up better. And yes, absolutely, captions are probably going to be required in the future. It depends on the industry. I know when we do stuff for the banking industry, we need everything to be have captions and stuff, so it follows the compliances. So captions are a thing that you should really pay attention to in your videos. Format, again, really brief. Video resolution standard is always changing, but like I said, bitrate has more of an effect on file size and resolution. So pretty much all your videos are going to at least be 1080p. 720 is usually acceptable for social media, but if it's going to be on a large screen or you're caring about quality, higher bitrate and a higher resolution are pretty much what you're going to need. That also translates to higher file size. So there's kind of some give and take with that, with what you're going to do. The layout needs to match the channel it's going on is the biggest thing. So like websites, YouTube, LinkedIn, they're going to have landscape videos like the Molecular DX homepage video. But if you're going to go on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram ads, or even if you're just posting reels, you're going to want that to be portrait because that's how people are holding their phone. That's how they're going to see it. And that'll take up the most real estate on their phone and gives you the most area to show some sort of interesting content for people. So now that you've made your video, you just figure out where you're putting it, if you're going to spend on advertising, and just some SEO considerations. So posting online, I really don't want to be afraid to branch out from the platforms you normally post on, because there's always a potential audience, maybe somewhere you weren't considering, but it's best to just post where you get the most interaction. But keep in mind the top video watching platforms are currently Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So if where you want to post is not one of those, you should probably consider maybe doing a quick Google, seeing the demographics for each one of those and see what fits your video the best. You can obviously do some trial and error with that. Nothing wrong with, maybe trying something new to see how it works, compare it to something else. With marketing and algorithms, things are always changing. So it's really best to just try it yourself, see what works, and you might find something that works better than another thing that you weren't expecting. And again, the algorithm is always changing and results can be hard to replicate. So boosting videos can help, but it won't always help in the same amount that it did before. That's something we're experiencing when we run a campaign that was successful for us before. A couple months later, it's not working as well as it was because algorithm changed, the way that particularly we were doing it on Reddit, the way Reddit changed their ad serving changed. So it doesn't always work, but if you do want to see results from advertising spending, there's nothing wrong with only doing it once. But if you really want the best long-term results, you have to put in the time and money. And this can be a little bit nerve-wracking because you don't always see results from the money you're spending, and it can be frustrating to spend money and see nothing come from it. But unfortunately, the best way to advertise is with, some sort of long-term spending and trying to run a campaign for a little bit longer than just, maybe doing one time, 1 week or 1 month spend. Try and maybe do a couple months. If this is something you're really interested in reaching out with advertising, it's just best to do it over a long course of time. So with SEO, really video SEO is a lot more simple than website SEO, I would say, because you just want to have a relevant title. That's pretty easy and pretty common. Most people would already think of that. A description, just don't leave it blank. Try to put in something. Sometimes we put in, if it's an event, a link to the event sign up, link to the website, link to our other socials, a description of what the video is about, why we're doing it. Thumbnail image, I know YouTube can automatically pull in a thumbnail from, gives you like 3 options from the video clip to pick a thumbnail from, or you can upload your own. Uploading your own is always nice. Sometimes for the sake of quickness, you just gotta pull the auto-generated thumbnail, but making your own thumbnail is always great to have a nice picture there, and you can customize it, say whatever you want. Obviously the thumbnail content will depend on the video, but it's a good thing to add, especially for SEO considerations. Video length, like I said, depending on what it is, shorter is typically better. So that's another thing that is considered with SEO for video. And another one that I hadn't really considered until I was putting this presentation together is the upload date. And that really depends on the content. Like, so for example, software tutorials are constantly changing. So the upload date would matter on that. Whereas for the most part, cake decorating would not be changing as quickly as software tutorials. So the upload date may not affect the SEO on those types of videos, but it really does depend on your content. So relevancy can have an effect on your video search engine optimization. And then lastly, these are just some quick production tips. This is just I've pretty much been mentioning this throughout the whole process while talking about all the different types of video trends going on right now, but every single video should pretty much start with some sort of storyboarding, what you want to say, why you're even considering making a video in the first place. Then once you do that, you want to try and narrow down a more specific script, what you're going to say, what you're going to film, what you want. So you have a big pool of stuff when you actually go to start filming. You know what you need when you go to make your voiceover, if that's what you're doing. You know what you need, you know what questions you need to ask if you're doing a testimonial video. Then go and film, and again, get as much footage as you possibly can reasonably. You don't need to stay there all day getting so much footage that it's hard to sort through for your video, but don't be afraid to get extra clips that you might not use, because you may use them in the future if you're going to continue doing video marketing, which is highly recommended. So it's good just every single time do a little bit more, and it makes your life easier in the future as you do more of these. Then this is kind of processing and review and edits kind of go hand in hand, but the way I like to process footage is right after I shoot it, go through, sort through it. If there's clips that are just, straight up unusable, blurry, the shot was bad, just get rid of them. The stuff that's good, I'll sort that to make it easier to put the video together. So that way, if I'm not the one editing the video, if someone else's, they can go get all the footage from different folders. Like if it's an interview video, we'll have one folder of the interview with all the different angles, and then we'll have a second folder with all of the B-roll, and then typically I'll do another folder with drone footage. I usually don't put that in with the B-roll because we try to use drone footage sparingly, and So it's kind of more tasteful rather than like just always a drone in your face. And then so we use those 3 folders and we'll put the video together, review it. This is very important. You want to review it with people that haven't been a part of making the video, because once you make that video, you will look at it differently than people who haven't seen it the first time. So it's good to just show it to someone, get their feedback on it, make sure it's good, edits, and then the distribution, put it out on the social that you get the best interaction with. Maybe branch out, put it on a few different socials that you're not used to. And if you're interested in spending ad money, that would be the time. Boost those videos, run an ad campaign with them, and try and get some traction with them and see what type of interaction you get. And then this is the last thing I'm going to go over, just the different tiers of video marketing. Like, you don't need to be a professional photographer or videographer to do these things. You can certainly do them on your own, and you can see the results with video. Everything doesn't need to be super high tech. You know, if you're just getting into this, use your phone. Phone cameras are so good that we actually have a piece of equipment that uses the phone as the camera, especially because they're so small. It's good. You can get cheap tripods and handheld mounts for filming, and free editing software. Those are the 3 I put: DaVinci Resolve, OpenShot, and iMovie. I don't have experience with all of those, but I have heard good things from people that work in video, especially about DaVinci Resolve. That is supposed to be a really good free video editing platform. But just use what works best for you. If you already have experience with a different video editing platform, or someone else recommends something else, go for it. Use whatever you have that makes you comfortable, and just use whatever you have at your disposal to make a video. You don't need to go out and invest in a whole bunch of stuff to make a video right off the bat. But if you do want to start kind of investing more, you can start getting gimbals, which stabilize the video, the camera as you move. Specific video tripods that are good for painting. You can start to buy some lights, backdrops. Microphones are especially important if you're going to be doing a lot of voiceovers, recording, interviews, and you can start to branch out into some, free or paid editing software if you like. And then just that last tier, that would be typically what you would find from a marketing agency that is doing video. That's with drones, professional cameras, motorized sliders to get like pre-programmed shots. And then that's where you get into the more expensive production software such as Premiere Pro, After Effects, Final Cut. But again, that's not necessary. You don't need all those things just to make a good video. You can certainly make a good video with your phone, a tripod, and just a couple different angles. Just get artistic with it, follow the steps like I said before, and try to pay attention to all 3 of those different length, content, and the format of the video. And if you keep it short, that's typically the key to a good video. So if anyone has any questions, comments, to jump back at everything, feel free to jump out. If you don't have any questions right now, you do later, you can email me at jake@innovativetomato.com.
Thanks, Jake. This would be a perfect opportunity if anybody has specific questions. I know there's some small business owners that are on here. If you have anything specific to your small business, now would be the time to either type in the chat if you have a question, or unmute yourself. Feel free to do that.
Not a question, but I just wanted to say that was a very thorough and super important presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody has questions right now. That was definitely a lot of information to digest. If you don't have a question right now, but you think it's something later, like Jake mentioned, feel free to send him an email. You can also send me an email and I can forward it over to Jake to connect you if you have questions later. This session is also being recorded. So later today, I will have this uploaded onto our Expertise Matters blog on the JARI website. It's just jari.com. And then there's a tab that says Expertise Matters. You can find it under our blog. So if you need to reference this video at another point in time, feel free to get on our website. It will be on there. You can do that. And if you know somebody that might benefit from the information that Jake talked about today, feel free to send the link to them too. We'll have it as on our website as a resource. With that being said, thanks, Jake, for taking the time to present all this information today. I think it was pretty valuable. And thank you to all of the attendees that got on. We had a good turnout of people today. So that being said, I'll go ahead and close out the session. So thank you.